Wars is weird, everybody. We all understand that. But is it possible that The Rise of Skywalker may be the weirdest Star Wars movie to date? We are going to talk all about the possibilities of that happening. So welcome back, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John Hoey. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a fun one. We are bringing back our new segment, One with the Force, to get us warmed up for our discussion, where, yes, we're going to talk about how weird will J.J. Abrams make Episode 9. Is it possible it's the weirdest Star Wars movie to date? And how weird do we want it to get? But before we do that, I'm going to introduce a couple of weirdos like myself. James Bainey, Lacey Gillerin. Guys, are you ready to get weird?
I guess so. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We talked a lot about weird stuff on Monday, and it's just probably going to get even weirder. I'm wearing my Jango Fett best dad ever.
World's best dad.
World's best dad, yeah. And then my son has the Boba Fett, and it says world's best clone.
Oh, that's cute. That's really
pretty
cute.
good. Yeah, very nice.
I'm wearing a shirt for a little passion project I like to call Make Solo 2 Happen.
That is a passion project, without a doubt.
It's really indie passion project. I'm also the weirdest person on this podcast. I'd like to take that crown.
We should have a weird off one day.
I think I win. I really do.
Why are you the weirdest person on the podcast?
I can't say.
Jeez. Okay. Oh, I won't.
Thus,
even.
Why I'm weird.
All right, maybe just because you own cats. How about that?
That's not weird.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I love cats.
No, you don't.
All right, guys. You know what I do love though?
People cats, like CG cats, like the movie Cats.
James, you know what I love?
Meow, 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 meow.
Yeah.
I love when we create new things on the podcast to stay fresh. Because you want to stand out. You want to be different from the other podcasts. You want to be unique. You want people to like what you do.
Quality content.
And what we do here is create segments that we hope people like One with the Force. So where's Baze Malbus?
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
There he was.
There he was.
I really wish you just played the Cats trailer right there.
Yeah.
You know,
including like the little thing at the beginning that's like Cats trailer begins now. Like,
true story. I haven't watched it.
the Cats trailer?
No.
Everyone's like, what is this?
Yeah. They're like, oh, weird. They started running ads on YouTube. Nope. That's
in
part of the programming.
Anyway.
Boy.
One with the Force this week. We got 5 questions as we normally do for Will of the Force, but this is One with the Force. If you're not familiar with the segment, you missed a couple weeks ago when we did it. I'm gonna ask a question to these two, and I will also be answering the question, but we only get one answer. That's it. One word answer, one single thing. They all tend to be the same type of question. If you could take one thing, if you could do one thing, whatever, if you could have one thing. So let's get started. What's the one Star Wars movie you would show to someone who has never heard of the franchise to say, this is Star Wars? You know, you're handing it to them. This is Star Wars. I only get one to show you. John, what's your one movie that you show them, and why is it Empire Strikes Back?
It is The Empire Strikes Back. Because it's the greatest movie ever made, and I think it encompasses all the great things about Star Wars, from storytelling to the effects at the time, and characters, and great planets, and it's an adventure and a love story, and it has everything that you need from Star Wars right there in it. So I think if you like all different facets of Star Wars, I feel like you could find a little bit of it somewhere in The Empire Strikes Back.
All right, Lacey, what's your pick, and why is it The Force Awakens?
It is The Force Awakens. Well, James, it's an adventure and a love story and all the different facets of Star Wars. No, I really like that movie because I think it introduced a lot of people to Star Wars in a way that I felt when I first watched it when I was little. I think 2015 was a year that a lot of people started to like Star Wars, like a whole new generation, which there's something just like really magical about that. I also think because there's so many callbacks and pieces of the other films in it, you could watch that and then go back and watch the other ones, and it would draw people in. Plus, it's new, so it's like got better graphics and crazy special effects, and I love Rey and Kylo, so yeah.
I thought for sure that everybody would say A New Hope because it's the standard Star Wars.
It's slow,
but yeah, you know what's weird? Then I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to pick that either because it's the furthest out. It's the oldest Star Wars we have, so like special effects and all that other stuff.
Right.
It might not click with people, so I started thinking about it, and I think the one that I might actually show people would be the Phantom Menace.
I actually thought you were going to say that. I should have been like, and why is it the Phantom Menace? I
Why
should
is
have
it
done
the Phantom Menace?
I was going to say Rogue One.
I think, really? That's a good one too. But I think with the Phantom Menace, I think there's something about like this is where it all started, and I think if you hand somebody to this, the question is if they've never heard of the franchise before, but that's not true. They know Darth Vader, they kind of know a little bit about this stuff. And I think it'd just kind of be interesting to show them and say like, yeah, you never seen Star Wars? Let's start you with episode 1 and like have you watch it all the way through. Cause that's exactly what I did with my friend long ago. And he gave me a whole different perspective on like, it's weird because when you get to Empire Strikes Back, they're talking about Yoda and they're like, it's some mystery person. It's like, we all know you're Yoda,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's just like little weird twists and turns that kind of has a different understanding of the movie when you watch it in that order and you've never seen them before. So I think that's interesting and it's unique because most people have seen 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So I go with that. All right, we're doing the next one. The next question for One with the Force is name one non-sentient species in Star Wars that you would like to have as a pet. Lacey, you're kicking this one off for us.
A Porg.
A Porg.
I want a Porg so bad. They're adorable. They're cute. They're fun. They have personalities. I like it.
John, you got anything besides a Porg?
Yeah, Vulptex.
Vulptex?
I thought that was going to be James's answer.
Nope. Do you want my answer? You just going with Vulptex?
It's going to be from Rebels, I bet.
No, what's your answer? Why, John?
Oh, I have to explain why? Oh, because they're like dogs and they jingle jangle. And
They jingle jangle.
I'm claustrophobic and they show you how to get out of places. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the. I can't think of their name, but it's the Lothcat, the Tiku. What are they called? Dang it! What are those things called?
Lothcat?
Tiku cats? No.
Is it like
Yeah, I
a
can't
mini
think what the-
Lothcat?
No, Lothcat is just the name
Like a
that they
teacup
kind of assign the
Lothcat?
ones that are on Lothal, but they have a bigger name and I'm blanking on it. I even looked it up before this and I was like, oh, that's right, they're called that. But the reason is because I just think about every other pet in the world. I'm like, would I want a goat? No. So would I want any Star Wars animal that looks or acts like a goat? No. And that's like even the Vulptex or like Loth wolves. I'm like, I don't want a wolf. Why would I want a wolf?
You could ride it.
I mean, that's kind of true, but like, where to work? Like, where am I going to ride this thing?
I don't know. It'd keep you warm in the winter.
My wife has a horse and I'm like, I mean, it's great. Like Annie's awesome. But at the same time, I'm like, I would never want to take care of a horse, So I'm just like, what's the most realistic animal? It's like dog, cat. Like there's not really a dog. Porg, I don't know.
Your
I
wife's
also thought
horse's
bird
name
too,
is
but
Annie?
yeah, Annie. Yeah.
So when it's raining, is Rachel like, storm's coming, Annie?
Yes, actually, she says that pretty much all the time, and I think it's weird too. I'm like, "Do you know that's from Star Wars?" She's like, "What are you talking about?"
She's
No,
like,
I'm just kidding.
she's like, what's Star Wars? And you're like, why don't you watch The Phantom Menace? I'll show you this is Star Wars.
Let me show you this.
Yeah.
All right, next question is, what is one thing that could happen in The Rise of Skywalker that could potentially make you dislike the movie?
Taking a turn down negative town.
Yeah. John, why do you hate The Rise of Skywalker already?
I don't know, because I'm really trying to build my brand on my YouTube channel, from my mom's basement, and I like Hot Pockets. That's why. No, what's one thing that could happen? Rey dying. That would really bother me a lot. So that would be it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Yeah. Lacey, what do you think?
I immediately thought Chewie dying would really bother me. Or like R2. I guess any like beloved character dying would really bother me. Like Leia, I'd be kind of okay with because it's like the passing of the torch. It depends how she died. But like Chewie or C-3PO or R2-D2, it would really bother me if they died.
Yeah, like imagine
there's no reason.
Is the C-3PO getting mowed down like L3 did? Like how emotional that would be? It'd be weird. But,
like, even if Rey died, it depends if it was like her sacrificing herself or something like that. Like, I would understand in the sense of the story. But like Chewie or, I don't know. That would affect me more, I think.
a lot of people are saying like, "Ooh, Rey's gonna sacrifice herself for."
I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm just saying I'd be understanding if that was the case.
Disney's like, "We're saying goodbye to the Skywalker. She's our new hero. So let's kill her."
I thought you were gonna bring up the baby head, John.
No, we'll get there.
Oh yeah. We'll get there.
For me, I think that there's a lot of answers to this. I joke about this all the time. Like, oh, if Chief Palpatine's wearing a clown nose, or something like. Obviously, there's a billion things, right? That could be like, what is going on? But I don't know. One possible answer. I hope that the good guys win. I would be pretty bummed if, for whatever reason, they decided to do like the twist turn at the end, and it's like. And then Palpatine ruled again. End of Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
The bad guys won. That's the trick ending.
I think
no one expected. I'm like, I don't know. You got to play into your audience a little bit. People were iffy on The Last Jedi because they didn't feel like anything really happened. So to have like the whole saga end at a big loss, I feel like that would just bum everybody out. So
I think the only other thing that I could think of besides like a death like that is like time travel would really bother me.
Oh God, that's a good one too. Yeah, that'd be awful. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for time travel though. That's I don't know. I know it doesn't really fit into Star Wars, but like we saw time travel in Star Wars, and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
the Force. All right.
I didn't like it.
I like the idea that time is a linear thing, and the choices you make along the way affect the future. I don't like the idea that someone can go back and change things.
Yeah,
and to me, it just seems lazy writing. It seems like
it takes the tension away because you're like, oh, we can just go fix it. Okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
As long as I go 88 miles an hour, I can fix.
But
stuff.
you can't fix it. That's the lesson Ezra learned twice.
I don't know. I just feel like
Anyway.
Imagine at the end of the credits for The Rise of Skywalker, you hear Palpatine's laugh again.
And that's the power of...
You hear Huey Lewis in the news. Sorry, son. I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
So the next one on the list is coming for us. It's if you could never watch one Star Wars movie or show ever again, which would it be? So earlier we were talking about this is the one I picked that's like the epitome of Star Wars, and now we have this other one that's like, yeah, if I was on an island though, maybe not take this one.
So
Lacey,
I'm
what
the
do you
Star
think?
Wars movie of the group?
What are you talking about?
Never mind. Only patrons will get it. Go ahead. Me first. Attack of the Clones.
You got a little sand in your pants there?
No. Attack of the Clones.
What is going on?
Nothing. Attack of the Clones. I don't like that movie.
All right, John. What do you got? Do you have a different answer?
I do. The Clone Wars movie
Oh,
come on.
He hates this movie.
stinks.
Is that? I mean, if that's a possible answer, yeah, I'd take that one for sure.
Why wouldn't it be a possible answer?
Oh
Is
my
it-
God.
I don't know. Okay,
Was that a
I
tough
guess.
question?
Next.
Well, wouldn't we all pick that then? All right. I guess even if you take the theatrical or well, it was theatrical, but all right. I guess mine would be Attack of the Clones too. You know.
I mean, the question was
I think
movie
it's the
or
only
show.
one.
You could even pick a show. Like you could be like Star
Oh,
Wars
that's true.
Rebels. Get Out. By Kanan.
Right now, if that was the case, I'd probably throw Resistance under the bus
Oh, poor Resistance.
I would
because
Christopher Sean
Yeah.
unfollows us right now. Gone.
no, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like I love it, but right now there's only one season of the show, and I feel like I could easily disconnect from it. But like, if you told me I had to lose Rebels, you know, or I had to lose Clone Wars, I was thinking it was only movies, and I was thinking it was also like live action movies too. Maybe I should read the questions.
That'd be
All right,
nice.
next
That'd
one
be
is
appreciative.
all right, this is the last one, guys. You need to find someone in the galaxy who owes you a lot of money. Which bounty hunter, you can only pick one, in Star Wars history do you employ to find said person? John, who are you picking?
Well, some people out there are not going to like this answer. Some people out there are going to like this answer. Boba Fett.
Got it going with the boba?
Yeah.
Why?
You know
why
why?
do you say that? Because he put
Because we talked what we
Find
talked
My
about.
Falcon.
Yeah. Because
Yep.
what we talked about in Empire, how like Han tried to out-trick and he out-tricked the whole Empire, and Boba Fett was like, "Nah, got you." The old garbage chute trick. Can't fly away with the garbage.
Imagine if that didn't pan out and he's like, dang, I pretty much blew this whole thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I gotta go with Boba Fett. I know that's probably one of the popular answers, but I think that's if I needed that money, I think it'd be him.
Lacey, who are you picking?
I was going to say Boba, but I can't say it because John said it.
Correct.
I guess I'll say Bosk because Bosk is cool and green and people like that character. So why not?
My pick is Embo. Because he has that like old Japanese style to him. But here's my biggest reason.
James doesn't want
Is
his
that
money.
is James doesn't want what?
Your money.
What?
What? Whose money?
He's not gonna find your money.
Money? Who's talking about money? Oh,
Read the question, James.
finding. No, he's trying to find a person. He's not trying to find money.
Yeah, the person
He's trying
has
to
your
find
money.
a person who owes him money. So
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
give
No,
that money.
this guy's good. He's one of the best bounty hunters out there. But here's the thing: is that I don't want to go with Boba Fett because Boba Fett has ties to the Hutts, and I ain't messing around with those guys. They're
No?
wacky, right? No, and I wanted to do Cad Bane. But I just got a feeling that guy's too pricey. Like I just want,
got
I just want
fancy
someone
threads.
to find my guy. Yeah. So I'm going with who I think is the coolest and who actually has a lot of like cool fighting ability. So that's who I'm going with. Embo. Look him up.
Imagine
He's gonna
6
find my
months
guy.
from now, we could answer Zori Bliss at this question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Could. We don't know yet. We could.
Right. Right.
But that's
She's
exciting.
too busy raising Ray. This is mom.
Denied.
Mine. Denied. That's it for One with the Force. We answered all the questions. Let us know in the YouTube comments
Wait,
or page comments Anything else like that? What would be your choices, your ones, if you will?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it for One with the Force.
I can't believe people think that she's Rey's mom.
Everybody thinks everybody's Rey's mom.
It's like likely Zori, guys.
Yeah.
That's a
Lando
big no.
is Rey's mom.
Yeah.
You know who's not Rey's mom?
You know who's
Lando.
not?
That's Mello.
You know who? Yes. Yeah. That was a good segue. Yeah.
You're welcome. That's class right there. Classy segue. So we do a thing here every Thursday called the Patreon Pod Race, and it's where we give our generals a chance to be on the show as thank you for supporting us and being a part of the resistance. So this week, we're welcoming Mello from overseas in España. And we asked him, if you could be an extra in any scene in Star Wars history, what scene would he want to be in and why? Mello, not Rey's mom, take it away.
Greetings from Sevilla, Resistance. Today I find myself in Plaza de España, a monument that was built for the Ibero-American exhibition of 1929. This place was created to showcase the world Spain's accomplishments in industries and architecture. So this place has actually been sought by many filmmakers due to its beauty and splendor, and it can be seen in many films such as Lords of Arabia and our own Star Wars Attack of the Clones, which inspires me for today's answers. Even though not here in the book, which I would love to be just because it's beautiful, I will take myself to Geonosis and be part of that battle. I remember that moment when I saw it for the first time. It was so awesome to see so many Jedi fight so many foes. And even though Attack of the Clones is not one of the best movies out there, for me, that battle is just enough, to redeem it. That's all I have. Viva la Resistance.
Nice.
Ooh, wow.
First on location.
Yes.
Mello,
envious.
on location. I couldn't help but think he was like he's standing there with like a megaphone and like a clipboard, and he's like, in blah 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 year, and everyone's walking around is like, who is this, a tour or it's just him by himself? John, what do you think?
I mean, I like Mello's approach there. I mean, obviously that's so cool that he was on a location from Attack of the Clones when you had Anakin and Padme walking, and he's like, don't worry, we have R2 with us. All of a sudden, Anakin's got like a New York accent, and you're like, what's going on, Hayden? What is happening? But
Little did he know he was auditioning for Little Italy, which would come years later.
Yeah, he's like, you got to put the
Go grab a
gabagool on the
slice.
pizza. But his point that the Geonosis battle, I wouldn't pick that, but the fact that he said that redeemed Attack of the Clones for him, very positive approach to answering this question. So much credit there. And it is a cool scene, and you could definitely pick so many different things to be in the background of, whether it's a Jedi or a creature, a Geonosian, or a guard for Dooku. So I think it's not a bad answer. And I don't know that any other pod race is going to beat you being on a Star Wars location, but watch next week. Like Andrew, whoever's up next, is going to be like in Tunisia. He's like, hey guys, flew to Tunisia. No, but good job, Mello. You're the man. Hope all's well. And stop sending me pictures of your food.
James.
I was going to say, I think it's actually a smart choice because I'm pretty sure all the extras in the background were CG characters other than the Jedis. So it's pretty much for
But those
sure that
monsters
if someone's like,
weren't real? Come on, James.
the what? Yeah.
He's joking. Keep going.
I was like, what is he talking about? So then if you're just a background random Jedi, you've got built-in insurance that somebody at some point in a comic or something is going to write a story about you too. Nobody's writing a story about random Geonosian 368. Right. But no, I think that's a smart choice because you end up being some sort of Jedi in there. Good choice.
Yep.
Yeah, Mello, you did a great job. Per usual, on location.
Spell that.
Location. Per usual. I feel bad that I just answered that Attack of the Clones is the one. Watch. Oh, sorry, bad timing. Didn't read the room. But yeah, you did a great job, and I think that is a really cool battle scene for any Star Wars fan to watch. So I understand why you picked that. But great job. If you guys want to be a part of Patreon, you can find us on patreon.com/resistance broadcast. John, want to bring us into the discussione?
Yeah, I do. I would love to.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
That's so weird. You're being weird tonight.
What she's doing is the same thing Anakin did in those scenes with R2. Like,
Yeah.
oh, discussione.
Remember at the beginning of the episode where I was like, I'm the weirdest one, and you were like, why?
Yeah. Well, you're definitely hamming it up on this one. All right.
All right.
Will The Rise of Skywalker be the weirdest Star Wars movie? Now, weird is a broad term. I get that, as we're talking about a fantasy story that revolves around a mystical force with flying dog pilots, aliens, laser swords, and a made-up galaxy far, far away. But Star Wars has a tone, a standard set of what we've come to expect 40 years into the franchise, and after 10, and if you want to count the Clone Wars, 11 movies and countless other content, we kind of have our idea of where the limits are with Star Wars, or what's our little tunnel of what fits in Star Wars. But, we've been hearing a lot of weird rumors, and we talked about them on Monday, if you listened to our episode from a few days ago, about the final chapter in the Skywalker saga. And JJ has been on record saying that he wanted to take some risks here after seeing what Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi. But I guess, guys, let's just have like a wide open chat about how weird we think The Rise of Skywalker will be. Is it possible it will be the weirdest Star Wars movie to date? Will J.J. Abrams do things we never imagined we'd see in a Star Wars movie? So I'm going to start real quick just by saying, last week I had tweeted, and people gave me weird reactions to this, that I think when it's all said and done, this movie will be called the Harry Potter of Star Wars movies. And the reason why I think that is I think they're going to employ things that we never saw happen used by the Force and a lot of other things. And I'm not even talking about Luke's projection. I think it's going to be very weird. And I keep saying that word, but I think it is going to be. I think J.J. Abrams is going to balance Easter eggs and fan service with just really weird and new stuff. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that he wants to prove that he's not just rehashing ideas George Lucas had, because I think he took it really personal when people said The Force Awakens was pretty much a rehash of A New Hope. So that's where I stand. I think it's going to be a wild one. Where are you guys on this? Who wants to start with your certain point of view?
I have to agree that I think it is going to be weird. I think that because they have described it as being magical, and I think that JJ loves creating characters and droids and stuff like that. So if he's given the go-ahead by Disney and Bob Iger being like, you know what? Do what you want to do. JJ's going to come up with some crazy stuff for this movie. And everything that we've been kind of hearing rumor and leak-wise, which again, we don't know if they're true or not, but from what we talked about on Monday with the crazy baby spider head thing to now people are saying that they're doing this like Force flash fighting thing where Rey and Kylo are fighting between dimensions and locations. And at first, when I first read that, I was like, there's no way. That's so crazy. I can't even imagine that as something. And then the art book comes out and you have Rey and Kylo stacked on top of each other, divided by what looks like water, or they're in two different locations. So it kind of plays into the like, why not? Why not have this be part of the movie? I think JJ, like you said, John, is on a mission to make this movie his own and to make it something you've never seen before. And we hear things like Kevin Smith saying it's going to melt your mind. So I think it's just going to be crazy and weird and fantastical and something we could never imagine.
James, where are you at in this thing?
The only thing that's weird to me is the Force thing, Because when it comes to the baby thing, I know that that's weird, but like, is it any weirder than the green creatures on Octo, you know?
Right.
With the milk. Is it any weirder than Borg Gullet? You know? And I know these are all like from the new stuff, but like is it any
Jabba,
weirder
Big
than,
Slug.
like, well, yeah, that's the good one too. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that like we kind of just get used to or whatever. We're like, oh, it's a new thing in Star Wars. And everything has always been like really weird like that. So the baby thing with the spider and all that doesn't really, I don't know, that the spider drawing that we saw looks very much like the spiders in Rebels. So it's like, I'm already used to that. If they brought that in, it would even be cool for them to say that it was the same one, and then it isn't weird. I'm like, cool, that creature got like a cameo, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't really think that's weird. The other thing too is like, sometimes I think we forget how weird Star Wars was. Like, if Star Wars was 1, 2, and 3, and then there's 4, like people would have walked out of 4 being like, so consequences don't mean anything anymore. People just come back. They can just be ghosts now. And then like 5 builds into that, 6 builds into that, 7, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't really have any Force Ghost stuff, but then 8 is also doing it. It's like, by the time they got to 9 and they're like, it's no surprise that franchise went crazy off the rails with all that stuff. Palpatine's back. No surprise there, you know? So when you think about stuff like that, I don't really know that bringing Palpatine back to life is that crazy, considering we've gotten used to there being Force Ghosts, but it's not that that's out of the realm of the Star Wars even movie cinematic universe. But the flash fighting thing definitely is weird to me a little bit. I think that if they did it in the right way, it could be really visually stunning and kind of cool. I wonder if it will kind of have that. Lacey, you or John, you were relating it to Harry Potter. Like, I wonder if it will kind of have that like Horcrux thing where like when you touch, you're to this location or something.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so maybe there's something where there's pieces and they're going between these different worlds and stuff. And I don't know, I guess it could be kind of interesting because, like I said, we've opened that door before in like comics and some of the other shows where there's like these weird things that happen in the Force. And that's kind of a staple of Star Wars too, is that you look at Last Jedi and they have the Force Skype. There's no other way to really call. Everybody calls it that. They're like, oh, you can just like call someone using the Force now. And have these conversations, and Kylo's looking at his hand, he's got water on it, and it's like that stuff is strange, but it all falls into this category of like, we just have no understanding of how powerful the Force really is and what the Force can do. Right. So when you're talking about 2 really strong epitomes of the Force, dark and light, and they're clashing to this degree, I don't even know if like you can consider Obi-Wan the epitome of light, you know, when he clashed with Darth Vader. And like, I mean, Darth Vader is in Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. And I don't really know if you can consider Luke the epitome of light when it comes to that clash at the end of Return of the Jedi. But I think what they're setting up for this is like, this is light versus dark. This is,
I guess, but wouldn't the idea of Palpatine coming back itself be weird? Like, isn't that in itself weird?
Yeah,
maybe.
So that's the thing that really throws me, is because, you know, canonically in the comics, they recently introduced that where they're bringing Sith Lords back through artifacts, and there's a lot of Sith artifacts bopping around in this sequel trilogy, including Darth Vader's mask. So they can do it. The question is, and I always say this, you know, the weird stuff belongs in the comics because that's the stuff diehard fans will soak up. But when it comes to Star Wars fans, and not just us nutcases who are obsessed with it, but just Star Wars fans like my brother, they may say that that is just insanity. That guy died, they killed him, and Sith don't come back as ghosts, and they don't get resurrected. And if you can resurrect, then everything you did was pointless. And I get that, and that's dangerous. And I don't know how JJ is going to address that. But
right, because Darth Maul was confusing for people.
And that was just a time thing, and people didn't know that he didn't die. And people were like, wait a minute, that would happen before the Phantom Menace? It's like, no, let me explain that. But this, you have to explain a ton. And I guess you can just say, well, it's Palpatine. And you could simply just say that. He's the most powerful Sith ever. And he figured it out. And that might be enough for JJ. I don't know.
You guys, do you really think like the overall fan would be, I mean, I know the question is like, oh, Palpatine, like that guy's back, but I think that's why you put him in the trailers and you make him very clear that this guy's coming back, and let all the questions happen beforehand instead of like in the middle of the movie, like bringing him back and people are like, what's happening?
Right.
But I think, do you really think that the fan base would watch the movie and go like, what? That doesn't make any sense. How'd they bring that character back to life? He was dead, when you have all of these Force ghosts.
They did it but I'm only speaking from my personal experience. Like, Matt had no idea how Darth Maul was there. He couldn't even understand. He was like, that guy's dead. Why is he there? Is what's going on? Which I agree with you, James. I think by using it in marketing and stuff and letting it be known in trailers that he's back, people are going to be like, oh man, he's back. Okay, I wonder what happened. And that makes sense. It sets the story up. But then I think when it gets weird is when we start talking about, and this is something that John was super against, is like the body snatching stuff where he's like possessing people and like switching bodies and stuff, which a lot of people are running with these theories saying, oh, Palpatine was Snoke, and then Snoke got cut in half. So then he went back into the mask and all this stuff. And after that, it's like, okay, but then it gets into the supernatural stuff. And is that stuff, my question is that stuff Star Wars?
Yeah, see, that's when I think you're going from fantasy to like
supernatural,
or it feels like like horror or sci-fi or something, and that's when I think we veer off the path a bit. And I gotta wonder, like, because what Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi was weird for Star Wars. I remember when I first watched it, the Force, like James, you were saying, the Skype thing where they see each other, and the physical manifestations of Octo in the moisture on his hand. It shows that transfer is there, and is that the start of them learning these flash fights where they're actually moving their whole bodies across the galaxy through the Force? Like, so when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's really kind of weird that Ryan's doing that. And then the Luke projection, I was like, holy cow, like we just kicked the door open on what you can do with the Force. And then he's like, and then movie stuff like, oh, flashbacks are in Star Wars now? That's weird. And I keep saying the word weird. I'm like, because I'm not used to that. So, but now it's normal. So then what is JJ going to do? Because he's probably going to up the ante a bit. Are we going to get more flashbacks? Are we going to get more projections? And are we going to take those manifestations from the Skype sessions and make it where like Rey can jump to here, jump to there? And is JJ going to say, now I can introduce Endor, Mustafar, Naboo, because they can bounce to all these familiar places, and fans as they're fighting, you'd be like, holy cow, that's where Luke fought Vader. Holy cow, that's where that happened. And as they're fighting, like that could be kind of cool, but also really weird.
And confusing. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So here, I mean, like, I agree with you when you're saying that J.J. Abrams is going to up the ante a little bit. I don't doubt that. He might actually bring in some interesting stuff. But when I'm looking at Rey being able to during this fight teleport is the best maybe way to explain it. It's like she's jumping from one location to another, and it's kind of like through like folding, like all of a sudden she can just like walk from one location to another over large distances and stuff. Okay. Here's why I don't think that's weird, because I think that it's happening between these two people who are very Force sensitive, and it's only happening during this battle, because I don't think I can't imagine any scenario where, like, say for instance, Rey kills Kylo Ren, they've defeated him, and then at the end of it, she's like, I now know this technique, and she's the only person in the, she has this ability to, like, teleport from planet to planet, and everybody else has to use light speed. I don't see it as a new technique she learned. I see this as something where she's like, she can't explain it, but it's happening around her. Yeah. And it's the Force interfering.
Right. I agree. Because if it's not that, it's that movie Jumper with Hayden Christensen, which is ironic because it's Anakin.
Or Nightcrawler.
Here's another thing too. You could also debate, is it even really there, or is it just a vision of what she's seeing? Because we've already seen her jump from Takodana to Jakku to Bespin in The Force Awakens. And she's seeing these people, and she's there. She's standing in front of the Knights of Ren, and they turn and they look at her, and they, all this other stuff. She's already kind of doing this location jumping in a movie that we've seen earlier. That was a new technique then.
I didn't even think about that, to be honest, because she's running, then she falls, she's in a new location, then she falls again, she's in a new location.
She's in a new location, yeah.
Then she falls backwards, and she's back at Maz's castle.
I thought that was just, she was sitting there holding the lightsaber the whole time, and it was just something she was envisioning.
No, she lets go of it. She lets go of it. Okay. She touches it, lets go, and the case shuts.
I know, but
that's
she's
how
there.
I started it. It says we might be looking at this like we're hearing that she can teleport from place to place, but what I'm saying is she might not even be doing that. It might be something that's only kind of like a vision to her and Kylo. They're now suddenly, for whatever reason, there's like these big pivotal points in the timeline, or like these big locations, Force heavy locations, and that could be like Tatooine because Anakin was born there, so it's like a big heavy Force location. So for whatever reason, like when this battle's happening, like she's somehow linked and it like surrounds her. It doesn't mean she necessarily travels to that location, but for whatever reason there's some sort of like Force connectivity to this place, and she's envisioning
I have a problem with that
envisioning
too.
it.
I agree with what you're saying, and I hope it's right that it's something that's just happening, and she can't just be like I Dream of Jeannie and just hop over to do whatever she wants. But if it's just a Force fight, then we're back to where we were in The Last Jedi, where Luke really wasn't fighting Kylo Ren, and I want some real physical, tangible lightsaber fightings. I don't want it to be like we're in a VR set and we're fighting through the Force. I want those two to be face to face like they were in The Force Awakens, trying to kill each other. That's what I want to see. So that I liked half of what you said there, that it just happens, but I need real fights for sure.
I'm not picturing like Kylo in one location and Rey in another. I'm picturing them both on Tatooine, and then both on Endor, and then both on Bespin.
But they're not both really there.
Oh, no. They're not, their bodies are real, but they're not really on Bespin. They're fighting on whatever planet they're fighting on, wherever they're fighting. But what they see and what they're surrounded in. But they're force projecting
themselves to that location, maybe? They're not really there.
That's another possibility.
Yeah.
Although
that's rough.
The whole process of like actually physically moving to that location though is kind of set up in The Last Jedi, because they make that Force connection, and then he looks down at his hand and he's got the rain. So the rain physically traveled from one location to the other.
Right.
So
that's what I mean by up the ante though.
Yeah, I know. So then you do kind of have, but then John, you're not wrong. Like maybe, I know it sounds crazy and it would be like a mind bend because this is the Force, but like, what if she is on one planet and he's on the other planet, but they are fighting each other?
No thanks.
They're both standing there. They're not communicating using Skype, and they're not like fighting a force projection of the other one.
Can we call it force timing?
They are force timing.
Timing.
Yeah. But they are physically there touching each other and fighting each other. It's just what like one maybe sees that they're fighting on Tatooine and the other one sees that they're fighting on Coruscant.
No.
But it doesn't really matter. They're both there.
No.
I don't know.
Don't tell him no.
He's saying, he's saying, would you like that? And I'm saying no.
What do you think about this? And he's saying, no, I don't like it, which is fair. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I might be going into this movie with a little bit more like openness to whatever they want to do with the Force is cool.
I want them fighting in person at whatever location they're at.
Yeah, and there's something that's been missing from Star Wars lightsaber fights through the prequels, and I've said this. A lot of people disagree with me. I hate the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. That I thought they brought back well with JJ in The Force Awakens, which was a good emotional. It's not a choreographed acrobatic gymnast lightsaber fight where it's two people who are trying to fight, and I think you need that, especially in this last one, especially what those two characters have been through with their connections with the Force and what have you, light versus dark. They need to be in the same place fighting together. So
I kind of want to see her punch him in the face and then like he has blood or something and he just kind of like wipes it. Oh, I'd love that.
Oh boy.
What? You don't want to see her punch him in the face? That'd be awesome.
I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see
That's
her
like
cut his
every
head off,
10 minutes on Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Aside from that, I mean, I guess that's probably going to be the big aspect of him making this movie weird. Are there other things that you could see JJ doing beyond flash fighting and stuff like that would be you'd see, and whether that's something that you see maybe from the teaser or something you gather from somewhere else that you'd be like, that'd be weird.
Clones. Anything with clones would be weird. I hate it. I don't want it.
Even though they've done it, like we've seen it. We know clones.
I'm saying if they brought it back in some way, or Rey was a clone of something, or Palpatine cloned himself, or I don't know. If there's any clones involved, I'm going to be like, come on, guys. Come on.
Would that be weird, though, or you just wouldn't like it?
I think it would be weird. If they took, like, Luke's hand and cloned him, or, like, I don't know. It's just so...
That was an idea. Yeah.
I know. It's just so weird. The whole idea is just... I don't know. It's just...
The rumors about the body jumping thing and the possession
body
and
snatching, yeah.
People think Matt Smith is Palpatine. I don't think that's true. I'm not buying that. I don't. People can keep saying that until I see it. I think that'd be terrible. Because why do you bring Palpatine back and then you're like, but it's gonna be this guy as Palpatine that nobody cares about? Like that doesn't make sense to me. That would be
kind
weird.
of squashed my thing, but I think if I have a platform for a second, like my whole like Knights of Renaissance thing.
Okay, so what was this now? They're all clones or something like that?
Okay, so we were kicking around just in the private chat or whatever, like what is the whole thing with Matt Smith and why are they being secretive around his character and all that? And I thought, well, what if it's like something weird, right? It's something that they can't really like explain. So I was coming up with some weird stuff, but like then I was thinking, what if it's the Knights of Ren and the Ren stands for Renaissance, and Renaissance is like, oh, we're bringing back the old, right? And making it good again or whatever. So maybe that's Palpatine coming back. And maybe all of the Knights of Ren, like when they demask, like this is weird, guys. I know, but like they're all Matt Smith. Every one of them is like some weird clone. I know. We'll talk about that in a second, but like they take it off and he's some weird clone or some like sub generation of Palpatine. And, that's why they would have a hard time explaining this character, because they don't want to explain that he plays one of the Knights of Ren, or he plays all of the Knights of Ren, or he plays some sort of weird clone of Palpatine that is related. They don't want to get into any of that. They're like, let's just he's in the movie, but like, we're not going to talk about him.
I mean, that would be weird. It would be weird.
The Sith troopers are Matt Smith.
Yeah. So maybe it's not even the Knights of Ren. Maybe it's like this mass army of...
He's the new Jango.
Matt Smiths.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't wait till Matt Smith's not in the Rise of Skywalker. That's going to be the ultimate. Like JJ saying like, gotcha. Like, not in it.
He's the voice of Claude.
Yeah, he's Claude, or he's He's the model for baby face, like the baby head.
Claude is weird. Can we talk about Claude? That thing is weird.
Yeah, you know what? He looks a little bit like the eyes, like Mac and Me. You ever see that movie?
Yes.
It's like very like, I don't know. That is weird. And I don't even know what he is.
It looks like the things that Ursula turns people into when they want wishes from her in The Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. You know what'd be weird? The whole 3PO, if he did get into battle and wasn't the coat rack like we all think he's going to be, like, that would be weird. Even though he did it in Attack of the Clones.
That's the weirdest thing I think I've heard. Like, if that was in the movie, I'd be like, this is not right. But like, if they did all the other stuff, the clones and the Knights of Ren and the Palpatine bringing back and Claude, force timing, all that stuff, I'd be like, okay. But then, like, if you got C-3PO, like, running with a bowcaster and, like, shooting people, I'm like, this is not Star Wars, man.
I love that James checks out with that. He's like, I'm out. That's it.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
5,000 Matt Smiths as Palpatine. I'm in.
Yeah.
Not weird.
Yeah.
3PO with a bandolier. Weird.
Yeah, and one of which is more confirmed than the other.
But I think the three of us think that whole thing where they just either use them as a distraction or they're like, hold this, or like...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because JJ needs to hammer home who these characters have been and not make it too bizarre.
We need some more comedy in Star Wars. I'd like some more funny moments.
I think he may leave the weird stuff to... I mean, I guess my last point. But first, he'll leave the weird stuff to like characters that weren't staples for the last 40 years. Like he'll take risks with the newer characters, not like C-3PO. Mm-hmm. The Leia stuff could be weird. And I mean that from like a filmmaking perspective, not like...
I'm just laughing if people at home are playing the drinking game where every time we say weird, they take a shot.
Gonna be toasted.
You know how many people just restarted the podcast?
We should have a weird counter. Bing, bing. But like the Leia thing, I wonder if when I'm watching the movie, I'm going to try my best not to think like, well, she wasn't really there. She wasn't really there. But I'm going to try to get in there. But I wonder if some part of me is always going to know. And it's going to take me out. And I know they can't do anything about it. Some clips are her, though. But not like she's there, but it's a body double and they used her face from TFA or, you know, I think that could be weird too. And I know we did mostly on this discussion, which we're probably getting up on time about in-story stuff, but movie making wise, I think that could be weird.
Like as far as like how they're making the special effects and stuff?
Or just how she's going to appear. And if it looks a little strange, like I'm not saying like Tarkin because they're actually using her actual face, but I don't know. But ultimately, I mean, my last thing on this, I think JJ is certainly affected by things people said about his first Star Wars movie. I think he's inspired by what Rian Johnson did in terms of a risk taker as a filmmaker, regardless of some people's reactions to The Last Jedi. I think he thinks he can do it and do it in a way where he still makes a movie that Star Wars fans like. But then it always goes back to him saying that word satisfying. So my guess is the movie will be really weird. He'll do new and crazy things, but somehow he'll round it out so that the end hits home and brings us back to like a true north.
Yeah, you're definitely going to, by the end of that movie, you're going to walk out and people are going to be like, remember that scene? You're like, oh man, I totally forgot about that part.
Right. Yeah. I think it'll be like it's not like any Star Wars movie I've ever seen, but it felt the most like Star Wars has in a long time, and it ended beautifully. Or like one of those things, like good closure type of thing. That's my guess. But do you guys have final thoughts on the potential weirdness of Episode 9?
Go ahead, James.
I don't know. When it got proposed, I was like, I don't really know what I know we kind of talked about what we consider to be weird, and weird isn't a bad thing. But I still kind of think like from a different perspective, there's a lot of weird stuff that's happened in Star Wars And that goes for creatures, that comes with characters being brought back to life, that comes with people being cloned and having like mass armies of super weapons that blow up planets, nay, systems of planets. You know, it's just like, it just gets weirder and crazier as it goes along. And I think the weird stuff for me is like when characters don't fit their roles and stuff, which oddly enough people said about The Last Jedi and I disagreed. So I really think like they'd have to do some really weird stuff for me to be like, yeah, that one was kind of weird.
All right, right on. And we could always revisit this as we go forward. Lacey,
Sure.
final thoughts on potentially being the weirdest Star Wars movie?
I think it will be. Because it has a lot of storylines and plot and legacy to wrap up, and to bring all these elements together, it's going to have to get a little weird. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense. I think that JJ's on a mission to make a movie that's never going to be like anything you've ever seen before. And that's what we keep hearing from everybody that's involved, is like, it's beyond anything you could imagine. And all I keep thinking about is, you know, the only movies that I've watched in recent years that have really caught me off guard as being weird are like Hayao Miyazaki films like Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle or anything like that, Princess Mononoke, where elements of the story and characters and scenery is just so fantastical that you could never even imagine what it would be and where it's going to go. And I think that's where JJ is going to take this film. So yes, I think it's going to be weird in the best way possible.
Right on. Well, guys, let us know what you guys think on the points we brought up as to why we think it may be a really weird movie, from filmmaking to in-story, and things that we haven't brought up in the comments, things that you think may be weird in Episode 9, or maybe if you don't think it will be weird at all, maybe J.J. Abrams brings a true Return of the Jedi style fun adventure to wrap this thing up. Let us know in the comments what you think about the discussion. And of course, as we get closer and we start getting a little more nuggets and tidbits and Legos and other stuff leaking out, we'll dabble more in the potential weirdness of the Rise of Skywalker. But until then, we're going to move on now to hear from you guys. We're going to send it to Lacey to run through the best of your tweets in Resistance Transmissions. So Lacey, what have we got?
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So, the whole point of Resistance Transmissions is that John every week puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers or ideas around said question or scenario, and then I read them live on the show. So I've never read them before. I don't know what the scenario is, so let's get into it. All right, so it's Harrison Ford is seen laughing in this BTS photo of the hashtag The Force Awakens, my fave film. What did he hear or think about that made him laugh like this? All right. The first one the first one is Seahawks Dad at Seahawks_dad. What are you showing me? Oh, the picture of Harrison Ford laughing. Yes. Look at that.
For the visual audience.
Lucasfilm says, we are thinking about making hashtag Make Solo 2 happen, but we're worried it doesn't have enough support amount the fans. Wait, doesn't have enough support. Harrison laughs. Are you kidding, bro? Don't you listen to the Resistance broadcast and follow them on Twitter? Get off my stage.
It's like a get off my plane.
Stage.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, get off my stage. Next up is Andrew Staley. Hi, Andrew, at Deuce_Staley. And he said he is told, quote, of course you will play Han Solo again after episode 7. I had a Roman numerals moment there. Okay. Next is Rachel at Rachel the Rap. And she said, someone told him Greedo shot first. Next is Josh at Jubacus, and he said he's not laughing. That's the face of pain when a hydraulic door slams and breaks your leg, and he may be thinking of John Hoey's hilarious J.J. Abrams impression. Ouch. Next is Carl Steer at Darth Hurricane. He said, Do you want to read this one, John?
You want me to do it in the voice? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one
he
that
says-
was previously mentioned.
So he says, JJ says, so, Harrison, we're going to have your son kill you in this movie. And, then because the fans will want it to happen, redeem him in the last movie, of the series. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Incredible. Joseph Solano, hashtag Zori Bliss Gang, at Dr. Ragnarok says, JJ said, go ahead, John.
Doc Rock.
Faster and, more intense.
Next up is Kylo10, hashtag make Solo 2 happen, at Fulcrum Andor. She said, someone told him about Hobbs and Shaw Celebration.
Yes.
If you guys want to get that reference, go back and listen to last Thursday. Next is Sean at The Rise of
Thursdays
Sean.
Yeah, 2 Thursdays.
Ooh, that's a good one, The Rise of Sean. He said he was laughing out of joy when JJ finally told him he'll die in this movie.
Oh, yeah,
There you
maybe.
go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Next is Sean
rude.
Santarude. How rude. At Rude Cold. He said, personally, I think Chewbacca is crouched down behind him, tickling him. Hashtag resistance transmission. Tickling is one of those things that just like, I don't know. I don't like it. Okay.
Can I
Have you
just
ever
point
curled
out?
up in a Wookiee's lap, though?
Oh, you'll never get a better sleep in your life.
Yeah.
Can I just point out that Lacey just had a rough go saying the word crouched?
It's behind my tripod.
I'm just kidding.
So I'm trying to read around my tripod. But thank you for making it seem like I can't read. That's nice.
I'm sorry. The word was crouched behind your tripod.
Okay. I should probably be wearing my glasses, actually. Next is Cooper Meyer at Cooper Meyer 2. The second Cooper Meyer.
Yes.
They said, he's just getting really deep into singing all by myself. All by myself.
Did you see the Force Awakens edit
No.
where Rey comes up and she pulls out of the bag and she hands the microphone?
Oh, yes,
To
yes,
Luke?
yes, yes.
Yeah, and then it comes up and his mouth starts singing.
Yeah.
All by myself.
Nice.
And last but not least is Debbie Anderson at Dragon Debbie. And she said, JJ said,
Harrison, Hamill doesn't have any lines.
just incredible. Incredible.
He's gonna show up. He's gonna say absolutely nothing. The crowd's gonna love it. Be so surprised. It's gonna be like mystery box times 10.
Incredible.
Incredible.
All right,
I like
guys.
how that was from Miss Anderson.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
If you guys want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. Every week, John puts up some crazy, wacky situation. And then you guys give your answers. The best, most creative, and fun answers get picked for the show. Back to you, John.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching and being weird with us. Just as weird as episode 9 might be. For those of you who are new to our podcast, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining us. We're seeing a lot of new followers and subscribers and listeners, so we really appreciate you joining the resistance and spread the word because that's the way we grow. But make sure you yourself are subscribed to us because we are here 2 times a week on Mondays and Thursdays, so you're looking at either Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, a bunch of other places where you can find the podcast. But if you're watching our video version, hello out there and welcome. Make sure you leave a comment and let us know what you think. Head to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. We have an outstanding review team. There's always new comics and books coming out. So Kyle, Jordan, and Yelena really crush it over there, especially when news is light. So good job to you guys. Thank you so much. And make sure you guys head to tpublic.com and pick up Make Solo 2 Happen swag and about 40 other of our designs, about 38 of which are designed by the world's greatest dad over there, James Bainey.
Aww.
Is that what your shirt says? World's best dad. I apologize. He's wearing a world's, if you didn't hear from earlier, a Jango Fett World's Best Dad t-shirt. As Lacey mentioned before, patreon.com/resistance broadcasts is where you want to go if you want to pledge support for us and what we do. And if you want a lot of awesome exclusive content, we're posting new stuff pretty much every day on there, right, Lacey?
Yes.
Yes. And we have 5 tiers. You can
Yes.
start at $2 a month for your initial support. And each tier up, you get new access or new benefits, new perks, and that sort of thing. And as you saw, one of our first 4 generals, Mello, was just on the podcast doing his Padres. But speaking of Carmelo, I do want to say a special thanks to him and our other generals. So Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Len Brown, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, and Val Trichkoff. We salute you, generals of our Patreon. Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you, and your support means a great deal to us. And I want to thank all of you out there once again for listening. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James, where can people get weird with you on the internet? Talking Star Wars, Dragon Ball, Metal, Chipotle. Where are you at?
At Myra Trunks is where I'm at on Twitter. MIRAHTRUNKS. It's right here. And also, Tuca was the name of the animal.
Tuca.
Yeah, Tuca.
Interesting.
But it's the type of animal. And then, like, on different planets, they're called different things. On Lothal, they're called Lothcats. But they're Tucas.
Right on. The more you know. Lacey, what about you?
People can find me being weird on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin.
All right. All right, guys, that is it. So let me tell you something right now. Look at me. Or listen if you're listening.
Can you put your arms down? It's weird.
Oh, it's weird? The perfect episode to be doing that. So, guys, I want you to enjoy your weekends. And we'll see you again on Monday morning with another episode.
Don't
right
like that.
here
Please
on
stop.
the Resistance broadcast.
See you around, kids.
We'll see you around.
Got 'em.